voters of Winnebago County and Oshkosh Media Government TV, Channel 10. This event is being simulcast on WOCT 101.9 FM, Oshkosh Community Radio. If you have no cable television connection, this forum may also be accessed by streaming video on the Oshkosh Media website at oshkoshmedia.org or on the Oshkosh Media YouTube channel. I am Margy Davey, Winnebago County League of Women Voters President, your moderator for this evening. The League of Women Voters encourages informed and active participation in government. Our mission is to inform citizens about major public policy issues and about candidates seeking office. We do not support or oppose any political party or any candidate. You can find more information about us at the League at the League of Women Voters, or LWV, Winnebago.org. Two Republican candidates are vying to be their party's nominee for Winnebago County Clerk of Courts on the November 6th ballot. Melissa Pingel is the incumbent and Teresa Greasy is the challenger. This primary election is very important. The August 14th primary election winner will become the next Winnebago County Clerk of Courts because there is no opposition on the November 6th ballot. On August 14th, you must vote a partisan ballot for the party of your choice. That means that in order to vote for one of these two Clerk of Court candidates, you must choose to vote the Republican ballot. Joining me on the panel for this forum is Kathy Propp, League member. This forum will be more informal than most. We're not going to keep rigid time limits. However, please keep your answers on point and allow your opponent adequate time to answer too. Audience questions are welcome. Please submit in writing to the League representative who will wave her arm at you. Thank you. Candidates received the first three questions in advance, and we will start with that now. The first one will be an opening statement, and we'll be going alphabetically. So, Teresa Greasy, please tell me about your qualifications and why you wish to be elected as the Winnebago County Clerk of Courts.
Hi, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Teresa Greasy. I am running for the Clerk of Court position because I have been employed in courthouse employment for 32 years, over 16 years of that with Winnebago County. And as an employee, I hold myself to produce an accurate work product with friendly and helpful service to all individuals. So at the end of the day, I can go home knowing that I have done my small part for the community. I have worked as a court clerk, a judicial assistant, and a legal secretary. I have worked with criminal, traffic, small claims, civil, and family matters, managing complex court calendars and jury trials, clerking hearings, working with interpreters and witnesses. I have processed court minutes and court documents and prepared orders of the court. Also, I have experience in the e-filing process, both as a clerk and as an outside filing party, filing into the system. And of course, I have extensive experience in customer service at the counter and on the telephone with all parties involved. I also have experience working with the district attorney, court commissioners, judges, and private law firms. I have been responsible for training and overseeing coworkers. I've been responsible to manage offices and have been given decision-making authority in the absence of management. One of my strengths is the ability to problem-solve situations, to streamline a decision by using my common sense and by drawing on my experience and knowledge. Another of my strengths is my ability to analyze situations presented to me, to foresee possible problems or positive outcomes. And therefore, I am running for this position because I do truly enjoy this work, and I want to use my knowledge and experience to lead the department. It is time for a new face in management with fresh ideas for positive change. And I am that person. My being elected as the Clerk of Circuit Court would benefit the county, not only because of my qualifications and strengths, but also because of my motivation behind running for this office. I wanted to make the best. And together with the help of the staff, I intend to make this office the best that it can be in order to benefit all. So on that, I would ask for your vote on August 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Melissa, can you please tell us about your qualifications and why you wish to be reelected?
Certainly. My name is Melissa Pingel. I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight. It is nice to have this forum to be able to talk. Just a little bit of background from me. I am from the New London community, a small town close to here. I went to undergrad at Madison and got my degree from there, from legal studies and political science. After that, I went to law school at Marquette University and obtained my law degree. I worked after law school as a creditor's attorney for a few years in Milwaukee, doing foreclosure, civil work, bankruptcy, and then was able to find a position up in this area because this is where my family is, and I wanted to come back and work in the community. I was working on the debtor side when the clerk of courts position became vacant because the prior clerk of courts left to be the clerk for the Supreme Court. I applied to the position and I was appointed unanimously by the judges of the circuit court. So all 6 courts appointed me. 4 years ago, I was elected to the position. In my time here, we have made leaps and bounds. We have done so much as an office. Starting from when I first became clerk, our record retention was not up to date. We had years and years of files that needed to go through, be inventoried, and decided whether we needed to keep the files or not. And that's a very hands-on decision because files could be retained for 2 years or they could be retained indefinitely depending on the case type. So it's a really important job in the clerk of court's office. That after we finished that project, we moved on to looking at different positions and combining positions, and we've been able to create a financial division, and that division is working on old receivables that are owed to the county and state. It's always important to keep being mindful of the community's tax-paying money and also where we're going to get revenue sources from. So we have worked on organizing positions into combining things as things have become more electronic. Last year in 2017, electronic filing became mandatory for most case types, which helps with retention and also helps with the accessibility of a file. So we had to work with all the players, especially the judges, to get them on board and how to access cases. And it makes for a much more efficient offices, and through that we've created more efficiencies through the electronic world. And finally, I think the biggest thing that I've been able to do since becoming clerk is creating and maintaining relationships. The clerk's office the clerk of courts is really the liaison and touches so many different agencies. So the law enforcement, DA's office, state public defender's office, the DHS, and it's really important to create those relationships in order to make a more efficient office and be able to work together and see how can we do things better, how can we combine things, how can we reduce staff if necessary. So just being a leader and having a good staff that helps you, there is no I in clerk of courts. I mean, it is a organization that you work and you lead, and with all the things that we've accomplished, I would also ask for your vote on August 14th.
Thank you. This is kind of our second question. I think a lot of people don't really know what what a clerk of courts does, or clerks of court do. That's one of those tough ones, like
Yes.
attorneys general. If you had to summarize the primary duties, say, can you give me maybe a 1-minute summary of what the primary duties of the clerk of courts is, please? Melissa first.
Sure. In a 1-minute summary, I would say our job is first and foremost the record keeping. We are the keeper of the record. That is our statutory duty. So we run CCAP for our county. Court finances, I've done the last 6 budgets for all the courts and associated offices. That's about a $4 million budget. Jury management, we have about 50 trials a year that we need to make sure we have jurors for and make sure it's properly staffed for the judges when they do have trials, whether they're civil, family, or criminal. And last but not least is the court administration. We manage a table of organization right now of 44 county employees. So that's all the HR, that's hiring, reorganizing, performance evaluations, payroll, things of that sort.
Okay, thank you very much. What could you add to that, Teresa?
Okay, well, I'll say it in a little different way, maybe. The clerk provides the support services and assistance to all the participants in the court system, that being the parties to the action, the judges, the commissioners, law enforcement attorneys, social agencies, all the agencies that are connected to the court. Also, we maintain the court record, and on the court record is the documents filed in the case, everything that has happened on the case, any notation made, any monies. So an accurate court record, and also we are responsible to hold those safe and secure. Also the jury management, as she mentioned, so you get a large pool out there with the questionnaires. You summon them in individually when there's a jury trial on the court calendar, and you pay them and you deal with any other questions or concerns they may have. And again, the fiscal part of it, responsible for the monies under control, running the budget, collecting fines, filing fees, court-related expenses, juror payments, and then also the administration part of it. And like she mentioned, those employees, I was going more about 24, I was thinking about the clerks, but you do have all the extensions of that. So the administrative HR part of it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you are elected to another term or to your first term, the question is, what will be your priorities moving forward? And I know a lot's already happened, but I'm sure there's always more that you're interested in doing. So this time we'll start with Teresa, please.
Okay. And of course, there's always priorities change because the state, the legislature, and CCAP and everybody else, the users, always throw changes upon you. So you always have to roll with that. But I think the most important priority of the Clerk of Court's office is service to the public, the patrons, the people that come into the office or use the courts, and service by the personnel is should be courteous, respectful, and also dealt out with professionalism. And always remembering, though, the courthouse belongs to those peoples. We're holding their court documents, we're holding their vital information, their important documents. So it needs to be accessible to them and in a user-friendly way. Another priority that I would like to do is restoring the fundamental human element to the court office. Public expects to walk in there and see a person, and they like some one-on-one time. You need to listen to their whole situation, and so basically, to keep it simple, just restoring that fundamental human element, and they deserve and expect nothing less than the one-on-one treatment. And also, I do intend to keep a careful eye on the budget, on expenditures, and that may include reducing or eliminating unnecessary expenses. Thank you.
Okay, Melissa?
I agree with Terry that it is important to serve the customer, and with the changes that have happened, especially becoming an electronic age, the system is already confusing and scary enough. And when you come in, there's no longer, in a lot of cases, paper. So helping those customers figure out how to use the computer, how to access their documents is a vital, important part of the Clerk of Court's office. We are there for customer service, and we are there to serve the public. That being said, I think one of my priorities is to keep things moving in the direction that I have had them going. We've made so much progress. We have done so much as a group that the thing that makes me tick is efficiency, and that is one of my passions. How can we do it better if it needs to be better? And we have a lot of institutional knowledge. One of my employees has been with us for 43 years. So we have those multi-generational components that are extremely helpful when helping the public navigate some of this, because you have all sorts of age groups coming to the counter. And another thing is, since I came on board, cross-training has been a big thing to me. I think it's important to cross-train your staff to help the public, but it's also helpful for the staff to be cross-trained because they have more confidence in helping the community. And it helps when people do move on and move up in positions to have that knowledge in another person instead of just having a gaping hole, which was a big problem when I first started. And the last thing is I really enjoy being involved in the community with organizations that touch the courts, like Rethink Suicide Prevention, Safe Streets, Alternatives to Incarceration, working on can we figure out a different way, and instead of throwing people in jail, what the courts are now looking at a mental health court. And I'm also involved at the state level with legal assistance committee that helps support a legal assistance clinic here in Winnebago. And I find a lot of value in helping the customers that may not have access to justice to get their resources in that way. So I just hope to continue my work in the community as well.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, do you have a question?
I've got a follow-up question. Teresa, you said you are a courthouse employee. Are you currently working within the clerk of court's office? or-
No, I worked within courthouse employment for 32 years. I
Okay.
worked in Winnebago 16 of those 32 years, for over 16 years. I retired to run for this position.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
working in a private law firm right now.
Okay, but you
Yes,
have not worked in the clerk of court's office per se?
Yes, I worked in the clerk of court's office for 16 years in
You did?
Winnebago County. I
as
worked
part of
under
that.
Diane Frumgen and under Melissa Pingel.
Okay, all
Yes,
right, thank you.
correct.
I didn't quite understand. Well,
Okay,
then I have
sorry.
another question for both of you. Can you describe your management style? I don't know who you want to start with, Margy.
Well, let's start with Teresa.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, well, my style is that, like Melissa brought up too, that the cross-training of the people is important. People don't know how to get there if they've never been there, if they've never worked that. So I think it's very important to have people to have knowledge of the part of the court system and the work they're going to be doing or having to help people and having to assist them. So I do feel that cross-training is important, but I feel that, and I've used this term, the office runs itself because you had so many people with long-term, they work there long-term, they know the business. That has changed now in the staff. So you do have a lot of newcomers and some people that have moved on to different positions. But I assume the people are doing their job that they're hired to do, and they're doing it correctly. And unless they sacrifice the integrity of that job, I don't feel that micromanaging is necessary. They should be allowed to work to the breadth and the depth of their experience and knowledge when they're helping people. They are there with that person on the phone or at the counter in that situation, and they should be able to draw on their experience and knowledge and their feeling in that situation to defer or to help the people. Now, nobody's gonna go doing anything illegal to put their job in jeopardy, but you should be able to work to the breadth and depth of your knowledge to make an administrative decision in that situation. So I don't believe in micromanaging. I have an open door policy. Like I said, I can shoot from the hip. You come in, you have a problem, ask me. I'll probably just throw out a solution right there. I've always operated that way, and I always will. Those are really two of the big things that come to my mind right now. And I'm happy. No, I think a smile goes a long way, and I think you need to be friendly, and I think you need to perhaps lighten up a little bit. I mean, there's professionalism, and this is serious business, but levity makes the day go through a little easier, and it makes people comfortable. And having conversations with people make them comfortable. They feel more at ease at the counter. So I'm all about, the human feeling of things, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you for making us smile.
Thank you.
Melissa?
I would say I am definitely not a micromanager. But when I start a project, I get my feet wet. I figure out what is our goal, what is our end goal, and how can we accomplish this. And I'll just use the record retention project for an example. I knew we had a problem. We have a warehouse full of files when I started, and we weren't up to date on record retention. I was not comfortable because we are the record management. That is my statutory duty. We are elected to keep the record, to tell someone to go out there and figure out what we needed to keep. So I spent several months and in jeans out there in the warehouse, getting dirty, going through files, spider webs, to figure out what we needed to do before I could teach someone else how to keep it up to date. So I like to have the ideas and talk to the users about what the idea is and figure out what are the problems that people that are actually doing the work see, and then come up with a plan and then implement it. Once it's implemented, I let the workers do the work. Micromanaging doesn't help, and you need to trust your people. These people are deputized under you, and you trust them, you hire them, you work with them, and you need that trust. So I would say I like to get in there, figure it out, and then once everyone's comfortable with the process, let them be.
Okay, thank you. I have one other question that, for both of you. This year Appleton's had, and keep in mind, I'm not real clear yet on what clerks of court do, okay? So this may not even be appropriate, but let me ask you. I know this year Appleton's had 2 women that have died immediately after they filed for divorce at the hands of their estranged husbands. Does your office have any opportunity to curb domestic violence for women who file for divorce? Is there, talk to me a little bit about the role of confidentiality and if there's anything you can do to help and how you keep their information private. Let's start with you this time, Melissa.
Well, are you speaking just in general of a family case or any confidential cases? Because we have lots of
That was an
documents.
example, but any confidentiality case would be.
Sure. We have several case types that are confidential: restraining orders, child abuse restraining orders, and the staff that has access to confidentiality is set up through the management, and so what they can see, what other parties can see.
So are
say
different things handled differently?
Yes,
Like a divorce may be different than something else, the way it's handled within your office?
correct. Yes.
Okay.
There are certain case types that are completely confidential, and then there's certain documents within a family case that are confidential. However, if you come in to file a divorce, that's an open, not the whole case, but that filing would be an open record. So if there was an estranged husband that the woman was worried about, we have resources to send them to, like the Christine Ann Center. But it's not something that we would ask a party if we didn't feel the person was in danger. I don't know if you would answer any differently.
Go
Well,
ahead, Teresa.
Yes, the divorces are a public record. The divorce is not a confidential case, but the financial statements are part of the divorce record is confidential.
Right.
However, working at the counter, we are not trained to find domestic abuse. If the person is in danger in the office, we would call security. But the divorces are public, they're open. Now, there is a natural restraining order in the divorce action, but that's with anything else. You know, unless you follow those papers to the letter, you know, the husband can do whatever he wants. So it's unfortunate that these women were killed, but the clerks are not skillfully trained to detect domestic abuse situations. Yeah, it's just, and it's outside of our role.
And the question actually was more going towards confidentiality.
Oh,
so-
I'm sorry.
And I
Yeah.
think you both,
Yeah.
sort of covered that,
Yeah.
so thank you.
We take, I'll speak for both
Sure.
of us, we take confidentiality extremely to heart. It's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could save a life. Yes. We did have some audience submitted questions. We also have about 2 minutes left. Kathy, let's go with this one.
Okay, this relates to knowing how to do each staff member's duties. Is it important for the clerk to know how to do the different duties of your staff members? And do you know how to do those duties if you're needed or asked for help? And I'm presuming there's a lot of different sub-roles, and maybe what, 1 minute? Margy?
1 minute, yes. Let's start with Melissa.
Do I personally know how to do every staff member's job? No, I do not. And do I think it's important? I think it's important to know what their role is in that position, but just like if you're running a plant, the plant manager cannot do every single thing in the plant. His job is to run the plant. And that's what my job is to be the leader of the office, to work with the other organizations and the staff to get the job done.
I have a little bit of a twist on that. I may agree to that. I also feel, though, however, that because I have done this from the ground up, I can actually sit down and watch someone do the work, and I can assess their skill level. So that, to me, is important, especially when you're getting new employees into the department. So is it necessary? Probably not, but I think it's very important. And so you can assess your employees. You have to give them merit raises. You have to, do administrative things with and for them. So you need to know what their level is, and you don't always maybe want to rely on somebody else. Yes, we have managers. We don't really have a huge tier of management like a big factory or retail store would. So I guess short answer is yes, I think it is important because I feel like a working clerk can jump right in there, understand it. I don't know how to do a lot. I don't know how to do probate or juvenile or any of those, but I've been exposed to enough things. So short answer, yes, I think it's important.
Okay, thank you.
I guess that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take a couple of minutes now just to talk in general about a primary election, because that's what this is. Primary elections are held to narrow the field of candidates to one for each of the political parties. And usually primary elections don't determine the final result. But in this case, the winner of this Republican primary will become the clerk of courts because there's no opposition candidate from other political parties on the November 6th ballot. Scott, if you could put up the ballot, please. Is he there?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, got it. The Wisconsin partisan primary requires that you must select one political party. And this is your ballot, and you can see on the left, in the far left column, that it says that in the partisan primary, vote in only one party's primary. You choose that, and you can choose from Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Wisconsin Green, or Constitution Party on our ballot this time. Which party you choose to vote for is secret, but you can only choose one, and you can only choose candidates from one. So if you cast a vote for candidates in a different political party in another race, that means that your ballot will be rejected. So if you wish to vote for either of these candidates for clerk of courts in August at the primary, which will determine the outcome of this race, you do need to select your party primary as Republican and then only put votes in Republican columns, which is the whole first column, and it's down halfway down the second one, which is where the Democratic Party primary begins. And I can kind of show you here, this side is Democrat and Republican, but when you turn it over, you do have three other parties on here. And if you vote for any one of these columns, that will be the only thing that would count, and anything on this side wouldn't. So it gets thrown out if you have a mixed group, basically. And since that's a little bit different than our normal general elections are, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. If you do make a mistake and you cast a vote in more than one column, you can ask a poll worker for a new ballot, and they will give you one. They might even give you two, but I wouldn't push your luck. So in conclusion, this forum has been co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County and Oshkosh Media Government TV, Channel 10. Thanks to Kathy Propp for her assistance, and most importantly, thanks to the two Republican Party candidates, Melissa Pingel and Teresa Greasy, for participating tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
The primary election is Tuesday, August 14th. You must vote a partisan ballot of your choice. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you may register when you go to vote on Election Day if you're not already registered. Proof of residency is required. You must also show a voter ID with a photo on it in order to vote. To obtain an absentee ballot, write or call your municipal clerk or stop at that office and vote between now and August 14th. Find information about voter registration, polling place, and ballot at www.myvote.wi.gov. Our democracy depends on citizen involvement. Please exercise your right to vote. Primaries are critically important. I'm sure you'll both agree with me this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.